I think that with that we move to Professor Dev on what are the key recommendations regionally and specifically for India.
Yeah. The key opportunities and specific recommendations, I feel that the focus has to be on agriculture, women, and also social protection programs for enhancing the resilience. So first is how to make agriculture resilient. Of course, we have been talking about the climate smart agriculture. So what are the elements? First is the climate smart technologies, the stress resistant high yielding varieties, soil based nutrient management, rainwater conservation management, and then risks reducing the agriculture diversification, because when there is a diversification, so the village level need assessment should be done to identify some of these promising technologies to improve the efficiency. So that's what the local level one has to do. Second is the under climate smart is the capacity building for key stakeholders, because without that you can't do that. Third is the ICT based solutions. Weather advisory is one of the things. Farmers, the SMS portal should be used for giving weather advisory. And in fact, IMD, Indian Meteorological Department, and ICAR, they work together rather than in isolation. Fourth is the weather index insurance, which we've been talking about but not successful. So something has to be done to help the farmers. So effort should be at every village level these kind of climate smart kind of technologies. And then here the regional cooperation is also important, because climate change things you cannot do in isolation. So I think water and energy are the key things for regional cooperation, because for example with Bangladesh, India or Pakistan, other countries, I think water and energy we can have benefit each other through regional cooperation. And we also have national development, this disaster management authority and all to take care of the thing. In fact, if you see the recent drought 2009-10 and compared to 2003, there is some resilience. So I'll come to the why there is some resilience later during the question hour probably. Because if you see in 2003, the agriculture growth was minus 6.6 because of the severe drought. But in 2009-10, everybody said it will be minus 6% or something, but it turned out to be 1% agriculture growth. So there is some resilience. And also in 2003, 30 million tons of food grains declined, whereas in 2009-10, there is much smaller scale. So there is some resilience due to some policies. I'll come to that later. The second point, the recommendation is the improving agriculture and nutrition linkages, because this is very crucial. And a lot of emerging research is also coming. I think Prabhu started from the Gates Foundation, the linkages between agriculture and nutrition. So why there is a disconnect, particularly in India, whether there is a disconnect at all. So this research in several projects IFPRI is doing, others are doing. So this research is important for also the solutions on resilience. So the value chain approach is important, because you can't do just productivity. We have to do post-harvest and marketing, because in India marketing is a big problem. I give you the example of tomato. In Delhi or Bombay, you have 40 rupees in tomato prices per 1 kg. But when I checked with the farmers, they get 1 rupee. So you can see the differences. So marketing is very important. And livestock is another important one, because 25% of the output is from livestock. So, and that's also important for nutrition. Then the other things are sanitation, water, drinking water, because 50% of the Indians openly defecate. So which is leads to the malnutrition kind of thing, compared to even Bangladesh or other countries which is much lower. So that leads to more. Those are the important things for resilience in nutrition. And last point is improvement in the programs, social protection programs, because we have several programs like ICDS, midday meal schemes, National Food Security Act now, and NREGA is another one. So how do you make them, these programs, to make agriculture resilient and also the nutrition, the malnutrition problems resilient? So one example is social protection programs. How do you make not only current resilience but future resilience? For example, if you create assets through NREGA, so you can have future resilience. So that is important for thing. Lastly, you asked about the finance minister. What are your recommendations? But finance minister understands in terms of GDP. So and also loss in GDP, and so $1 leads to $30 improvement in our GDP. So if I want to make a recommendation, I'll say that there will be 3% GDP because of malnutrition thing. So I'll talk in those terms.
Thank you very much. I think we now go to Dr. Vijayarante, because your recommendations would also be quite focused towards what do we do with this large coastline, the sea levels, and so forth. So what are the key recommendations that you would like to bring from Sri Lankan perspective?
I think in Sri Lankan situation, to handle this situation, we have to go for planned cultivation. Right now we do little bit about that, but we can't do it properly because we can't predict the weather. If we can predict the weather, we can go for a good planned cultivation system. Right now what we do is we do that according to the availability of water in tanks. So we advise farmers and growers to whether to go for 4.5-month paddy variety or 3.5-month or 3 month, or whether to go for pulse crops. Unfortunately, right now in Sri Lanka, everybody wants to cultivate rice. There's not enough economic benefits, but I think that's a very easy crop. It's easy commodity to handle, to grow, not to market. But we have to change this situation. And also we have to go for very strict soil and water conservation methodologies. We have to come up with policies as well as regulations, and we have to manage that. Some time back, we led the farmers and growers to extract out groundwater. Right now, we are trying to control extracting deep groundwater, because that will really causing problems. And also seed availability. Right now, as you rightly pointed out, farmers are having problems because once a season fails, farmers don't have their seeds, because when the season is not regular, the seed quality is very poor. So they have to depend on seeds from outside. And also, when one season fails, in our conditions, because of very high temperature as well as very high humidity, the germination ability goes down within 3 months. So you can't keep it for the next season under the normal room temperature storage methodologies. So you have to go for either low temperature or low humidity storage. So somebody has to invest. Probably it has to be either private sector or at the very beginning from the government side. And also we have to develop new varieties which will be probably short term and probably which can handle abiotic as well as biotic stresses. I know it's a difficult process, but we have already done that, because in Sri Lanka, sometimes when we cultivate paddy, the whole crop washed off. So there's enough water, but then the next rains will come within the next 3 months. So we have to plan accordingly. So we never had a variety which is as short as less than 3-month variety. So we came up with a variety which can yield less than 2.5-month variety, but we are keeping very tight control. We are giving it, issuing it only when the cultivation is washed off, because this variety needs very high input as well as very high management. But we have to do more. And then we have to make agriculture attractive to youth, because we are talking about new technologies, we are talking about new processes, we are talking about new varieties. So with this, I think the aging population, farming population, it's very difficult to change. So if we can attract the younger generation into agriculture, I think we can do all these changes. So how we can do that? The government is giving incentives. They are giving bank loans, very low interest bank loans. And also we are giving them, those interested youth, not only the hard skills but also the soft skills free of charge. And then we'll give a certificate which really has a validity in the local context. And then the most difficult one at the end, the awareness creation. I know, as one of you rightly pointed out, we are missing the traditional knowledge, and also government can't reach the grassroots level with its resources as well as with its capability. So I think we have to depend on civil society, especially for those activities. In our country, we are doing it to a certain extent, but of course we are having some resistance as well. So when we handle this, I think it's not only the government, not only the private sector, but not only the civil society, all three sectors, those all stakeholders should take part in the whole process. So the government can look after the coming up with enabling policy, especially land use policy, and then government should involve in our region, I think, in research, because we have the capacity, the government has the capacity, and also to certain extent infrastructure. And the private sector, input supply, handling, processing and marketing, government can't do that. And civil society, awareness creation, nutrition, and also use of traditional knowledge.
Okay.
Thank you.